Well, hey, everyone. Welcome back to In the Woods at Woodland Church podcast. Pete here with Devon.
Yeah.
And today, a little bit different, I guess, than some of the other episodes we've done, as opposed to maybe like a straight on, like, who are you interview or even talking about the message. Today, we are in this kind of sad season for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday at Battle Creek, we're recording this on a Monday, you gave kind of your farewell message as a staff member, as a pastor here to the Battle Creek campus. And then this Sunday, coming up before, will be kind of your farewell to the Marshall campus that you've led for the past 5 years. They haven't heard the message. You're doing the same one, both places, or close.
For the majority, yeah.
So rather than getting into your message and then people who haven't heard it yet kind of spoiling, I just thought it'd be fun to spend some time talking about the story of the Marshall campus.
Yeah.
We're in year 5 now, and actually we're in year 6, right?
In year 6,
So 5 years, and there's probably so many people who have either started attending Woodland over the past 5 years, especially at Battle Creek, that aren't even sure. But even people that were here at the time that attend Battle Creek probably don't know all the details.
Yeah.
I imagine there's people that come to Marshall in a couple of years that don't even know some of the history. So this episode is really just kind of dedicated to that.
Yeah.
I have some questions, and I'd love to know some more of it. So just to sort of set the ground, I guess, you mentioned in your message yesterday, the official launch was August-ish?
August 9th or August 2nd of 2020, I believe was the exact date.
A little over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's not where it started. Obviously, there was a ramp up that was leading to it. So you're probably getting all this going in what, 2019-ish somewhere?
I was brought on at early 2020.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, the original plan was to launch the campus in March of 2020, but something else launched in COVID-19 in March of 2020. So it was put on a hold from March until August.
Okay, so before Devon and Bree are in the picture, Woodland Church is already going through this process of starting, or at least creating this thing that we'd call a campus, but it didn't come from nothing. Some churches just, hey, we're going to launch a campus, and they go find a building. Yeah. This was actually more of a coming together with a church that already existed, right?
Yeah.
You want to tell that story a little bit?
So it was Marshall Wesleyan, and then it turned into Surrendered Life was the name of it before it became Woodland.
The same building you're currently in?
Same building, yes. Everything the
exact same. And it had been
same.
there for years, right?
I think 1968, if I'm not mistaken, is the exact year that they were given the property for $1. When we did all of our renovations with the parking lot, we had to go way back and find like property deeds and all these things, and found out actually Carol Marshall, who comes to our Marshall campus, her family owns a lot of that. At least I don't know now today, but did own a lot of that property in that area, and found out that the property that the church sits on now was gifted to the church for $1.
Wow.
Where it sits now.
That's cool.
So fast forward, when we started in August of 2020, it was Surrendered Life, Silo Wesleyan Church, under a pastor by the name of Zach Langford, who I want to say pastored the church for right around 7 years, I want to say, is what he was there for. And then stepped away from the church. And they went a year and a half with no, I guess that would be a lead pastor because it wasn't Woodland at the time. And if I'm not mistaken, our region was kind of sending preachers down to just fill the pulpit on a Sunday. Anyways, when the conversation between Surrendered Life and Woodland started, it was at about 25 people, maybe 20 to 25 people.
So it was pretty small at that point.
Yeah, it was a very small church. I think over the year to year and a half, some people had left during that transition. I think it was like around 50 when the previous pastor left. So really, I mean, the whole story in a nutshell is really, it was just like 20 to 25 people that did not want to see the doors close. Didn't want to see the lights shut off, still believed God wasn't done at that church. It was their home, and they didn't want to see it go. Yeah. So conversations with the Battle Creek campus started of, hey, what could this look like for you guys to, I mean, kind of a weird word, but quote unquote, adopt us or just become a campus. At that time, they didn't have the funds to pay a pastor or do anything like that. So yeah, conversations started up, and that's when I got tagged into the game shortly after it was all approved via the board and the membership body and all that.
So the church had decided we're going to do this. Step 2 was let's find the people to help us do this.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct. Yep.
So you get on board. The first like full conversation that I had with you and Bree, you guys can go back to listen to that one from a few months ago, maybe. You kind of told the story of, going through that and like what you were dealing with personally. Kind of more though behind the scenes. If I ask a question that you're thinking to yourself, that might be, you don't want to dishonor people. Please tell me.
Yeah.
Would you say that when you sort of stepped into this, you were stepping into a group of people who were excited about this, or was it kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, what was the feel of the group of people when you were?
That's a good question.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but
Okay. I think there were some people that were, everybody is hesitant about change.
Sure.
Obviously, that's just human nature. But I would say like the vast majority of people. So like today, like out of the, let's say 25, 20 of them still come.
Cool.
And the only ones that don't have just like moved away, no longer even live in the area.
So people are like, this sucks, we're out of here.
No,
kind of thing.
I think there was some of that on the onset, like when the conversation started that, hey, I guess when it was approved, some just kind of left immediately. Like we're not even going to stick around to see how this goes. But when I stepped in, I remember we did something called Woodland Way, which is where Shannon and I just sat with all of the 20 to 25 that were there. And it was a 4-week kind of class, just kind of explaining, here's who Woodland is, here's our core values, here's our mission, here's our vision, yada, yada, just kind of sharing. And that was just like on a Tuesday night. Like this was before church services even start. We didn't even have our first service yet. So I would say like, if you were to look at like that first meeting compared to that fourth meeting, I would say by the end of the fourth one, people were pretty excited.
Cool.
Like, okay, let's do this. Like we're ready to grow. Because honestly, the people that did stick around were the people that were like, we believe God's not done here. And we want to stick around to see. Yeah. We want something to happen. We want to move forward. We want to see change. We want to see growth. So they were all just kind of really excited.
So of the list of challenges and hurdles, which that's probably my next question, is it fair to say that maybe one thing that wasn't necessarily a hurdle was trying to overcome people that were opposed to you?
I don't think so.
Stuck in ways not wanting to change. It felt the people that were there were ready
already. Yeah, and I think the one thing we had to our benefit, I guess you could say, is it had been, I want to say 1.5 years between the previous lead pastor and Woodland.
Gotcha.
So there was 1.5 years of everybody kind of feeling okay, we're ready for something new here, So when the new came, they were pretty receptive to it. It wasn't just like an overnight, we're uprooting everything. It was 1.5 years where we don't really have anything. And now we're just ready to move forward. So yeah, like working against people was not a thing for me. Like I know that's a thing for some pastors. That was not a thing for me. Of course, there were some that were like, this is the way we do it and the way we want to keep doing it. But nobody was dying on any hills. Everybody was pretty like, hey, let's just do it. And,
so what about, and I'm completely ignorant here, when you guys say, okay, this is happening, you set your start date. You say, COVID hits, it's a little crazy, but you say, hey, we're gonna move forward August 2nd and go. Leading up to August 2nd, did you guys do work on the building? Did you have to tear stuff apart? How did people respond when you started messing with the building?
Yeah. So before we started, now if you've been to our Marshall camp, obviously the screen, that was all put in the projector. None of the lights or anything were put in there.
Okay.
So really, honestly,
it looks very modern right now.
Yeah. So that was a slow burn.
Gotcha.
Like that was like do one thing this year, do another thing another year. But the things we did do pretty much immediately, like before even our first service, was the screen and painting that wall black. like the back wall black.
How did people respond when you painted a wall black?
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody responded negatively to my face.
I got in trouble for that.
Did you really?
The first year as a youth pastor,
No way.
2008, Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah.
I painted our youth room black.
Yeah.
Because we had like all these, we were doing all these like cool lights. And I had a parent say that I was leading their children towards the devil.
Oh, no way.
Because
black,
black is the devil's color.
For sure. Yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah,
you never
for
know
sure.
what you're going to run into.
Yeah. Honestly, nobody has said anything to my face about the black wall. I will say though, we slowly started painting more and more things black. Then we painted like kind of an accent black wall outside of our foyer. And then we painted the main entrance doors black and the vents black and the coat rack black. So like
the darkness is
oh,
entering.
it was just invading, It's like so
black is kind of a primary color of Woodland.
Jerry Marshall actually said to me when we got the new building and our portable classroom that we took from the Battle Creek campus over there. And I was like, yeah, well, I know we're going to paint the doors. He goes, let me guess. Black. Yeah. So, people kind of caught on. But no, I don't think anybody was, outright, upset with it or anything. Again,
Gotcha.
we had the added advantage to a year and a half of really just kind of stagnant.
They're ready for something.
Movement. Yeah. Yeah. So I think people were just kind of open-handed and ready to, hey, whatever comes, we're going to go, type of thing.
So in your message yesterday, I want a little bit of clarity here. You talked about that first Sunday. And
it was actually a Thursday night.
Okay.
I should have been more specific. It was actually we started because again, it was when we launched the Marshall campus, every church in Marshall was closing their doors. So every church,
closing,
well, not just closing, but still staying closed.
Yeah, I don't think we opened in California until November.
Yeah. So like when we did open, we started with one Thursday night, 6 p.m. service.
Okay.
And one Sunday morning, 11 o'clock service, I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 11 o'clock.
So you kind of use this analogy though of like looking out this window. And again, I don't want to ruin your message.
Yeah.
But you said we had the first service was 12 volunteers and a family.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you this: if you remember back this far, how many of those 12 people were people who had still said yes from Surrendered Life, and how many of those were people from maybe like the Battle Creek campus that were saying, "Hey, we want to come and do this with you"? Like, what did the makeup of your early team look like?
Yeah. It was I would say 50-50 if I can recall correctly. I want to say we had maybe 15 to 20 people from Battle Creek go over and help us launch it. Okay. I want to say 15 again. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I'd say 15 to 20 pretty confidently. So out of the volunteer teams, it was between a Thursday and a Sunday. If I just had to throw a number out there, it'd be like 15 and 15. Okay. So like half of the Battle Creek people would serve on a Thursday because that's kind of how we did it. Like literally when you walked out of the Battle Creek Worship Center, when we were launching the Marshall campus, we had a big whiteboard and you just write your name. Like anybody that wants to serve, go fill out your name on the whiteboard on a Thursday night or a Sunday morning. And that was it. So I would say 50% of Battle Creek served on Thursday. The other 50% served on Sunday.
That makes sense. Because when you had said in your message that there was only the 12 plus, that's where I was like, well, didn't you say there was 25? So that was between two services you run.
Two, yeah.
Did the one family end up staying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And they were like super involved. Yeah, absolutely. And they would sit in the same seats every single time.
The most welcome family
in the history of any church. Yeah.
So did you get pushback for doing this at that point in COVID? Or people like, hey, you shouldn't be open right now?
Yeah, we got pushback. We got more pushback when we started children's ministry in November than we did opening the entire church. Yeah, because public schools were still a little like, So we actually got more pushback when we launched kids ministry. So
you had no kids ministry when you opened?
We only on Sunday.
Only on Sunday. Okay.
So when no children's ministry at all when we first opened. Well, we had no kids.
Okay.
Like I was the youngest. My wife and I were the youngest by like 30 years. Okay. So like no need for it at that time. So August to November, we had a Thursday and a Sunday service. No children's ministry. Once November hit, that's when we transitioned to 9 and 11 o'clock with children's ministry at both.
Okay.
So we took those months to kind of build the children's ministry team. And again, that was pretty easy to do because we needed all of like 4 volunteers,
Yeah.
So
probably most of your kids, right?
Yeah. So seriously. So yeah, we didn't get much pushback with launching the church. We did a little bit. We got more with launching children's because, you're going to put the kids at risk and how that game goes.
So let me get into your headspace a little bit. You said in the last podcast that, you got the phone call. We want you to do this. You had heard from the Lord that you were supposed to. You said yes. And now that was probably somewhere in January, February. You've got 8 months, 7 months. As you're heading into the moment, as you're getting closer to August, do you remember, if you could put yourself back in that space, what were you like most excited about and what was giving you the most like nervousness or uncertainty as you were heading into the launch or the opening?
Yeah. Gosh, man, good question. God, it's hard to remember all this stuff. What was I most excited about? I remember I was very excited to preach because I'd only done that like twice leading up to this. And both times were like, because I preached twice before I was even on staff. I preached for Shannon here at the Battle Creek campus.
You preached twice in your whole life, and now you're going to preach every week.
Every week. Yeah, never wrote a sermon.
It's called being thrown in the fire.
Okay, here's a good one. Okay, here's a good story. I remember the first time, can I just go on the side tail here?
Yeah.
Okay. The first time I ever preached, we did a prayer meeting here, like a 4-week prayer meeting. It's where we had prayed down at the Woodland Center, the student center, every night for like 4 weeks straight. So my wife and I, no kids, we like went to that almost every night. We had nothing else to do. So we'd go to that. And then that's when Shannon, like one day after prayer, was like, "Hey man, would you like to preach?" And I was like, sure. At that time we were doing video campus. Like it wasn't live preach. Like we recorded the sermon and then just posted it online for people to watch at home. It wasn't live church. So I was like, yeah, for sure, would love to preach, in the back of my mind thinking, never done that. So he asked me, he could probably see it on my face, "Have you ever preached?" And I was, "No, never preached." "Okay, come to the office this Saturday." It was like a Wednesday that he asked me. "Come into the church on Saturday and I'll show you kind of how to write a sermon."
I'll teach you how to do that.
Yeah. So we sat down for all of a half an hour and he said, "Here's kind of how you build a sermon." And he said, "Okay, so would you be good in like 2 Sundays?" And I just said yes.
To the whole church, not
to the whole church. To the whole church. So I did it, and I think I said, I don't know, like, I'm going to say it anyway. I said like Peter. I was telling a story about Peter. Like I said, Peter screwed up, and I used the word screwed. And it was my first sermon. I had no relationship with the church or whatever. So I get done preaching again, as recorded. And Shannon was the only one in the room listening.
He was the pastor at the time.
At the time, yeah. So he comes up. He's like, "Yeah, man, that was a good sermon. You said the word screwed in that message there. Nobody knows you. I have a relationship with the church, so I can say screwed. You can't say screwed. Let's do it all over again."
So I like that we just use the word screwed 11 times on this podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. So I had to completely re-preach the entire sermon.
You couldn't edit it one word?
In one word, man. I had to re-preach the whole thing.
Maybe he just wanted you to run it again. Anyway.
Maybe, yeah. He's probably being nice. It's probably all terrible and wanted me to do it a second time. So, yeah, man, that was my first taste. So back to the question, what I was excited about. I was really excited to preach because I'd gotten a taste. So I did it twice and loved it. Like really bucket filling for me. Really felt at home. I always feel at home on the stage. Like that's where I feel most comfortable anyways. So just kind of that taught me it. I learned that about me. So I was very excited to do that. I was also very excited for the possibilities of what God was going to do. Again, I was young and naive. So I was like,
so you're 27?
26.
26.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I thought our first Sunday we'd be packed, man. Why not? This is going to be awesome, So I was super excited just about the possibilities and meeting new people. I love meeting people. So I was really excited about that. I remember the thing I was most nervous about was just running a Sunday. Like
the whole flow of
the whole flow, like you are the leader in the room.
Yeah.
So like if something doesn't go right, I'm looking, you are the guy, So I remember being very nervous about that. And then at the end of our first service being like, oh my gosh, we made it. Like we did it,
I can do this again next week.
Yeah. Okay. All right, sweet. So I remember being super nervous about that. Other than that, man, I remember I was most nervous about children's ministry. Like in my mind, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like we're doing one church here And now we have to like plan like a whole nother version of church on the other side of the building. Like what, and I'm not even going to be over the control in me. Like
That's hard.
I'm not even going to be over there. Like, how do I know that's going well? So I remember being really nervous about that. But I mean,
You just like breaking through that.
yeah, it should be all right. Yeah. So yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
the church starts, you kick off, you start moving forward. And again, I use the word church plant, but it was sort of a church plant. It really kind of was. It was a little bit different. It wasn't from scratch, but it was a new thing.
Yeah.
I was part of planning a church. The first couple years are always a mix of ups and downs and wins and losses. And what were maybe some of the harder days that you remember, and what were some of the like, man, I just remember those early days. This part was awesome. Like
Yeah.
those first couple of years as you were getting your legs under you and Marshall was starting to become its own thing. What were the highs and what were the lows during those couple of years?
Yeah. I can speak to the highs pretty easily. One of the biggest highs were the amount of new people that were coming in and quickly getting involved. Like I remember that was just so. I remember being like, oh my gosh, it feels like everybody that walks through our doors, like within a week or two, are like serving somewhere or like joining a group, or like just everybody was just getting involved so quickly. Like people didn't stay new very long, which is easier to do, of course, when your church is only 30 people.
Sure.
Like it's easier when your church is small to help people not stay new very long, So that was just super exciting. You knew everybody that walked through the doors. Like you knew their name, you knew their kids' names, you knew what was happening in their life. And then you got to just watch the excitement of watching them be excited to come to church and serve. And then to like any group we offered, people just joined and were loving it. Well, at the same time, that was one of the difficult things. Like, I remember one very tough thing was starting men's ministry was just really tough for some reason. Like we'd kind of have a leader here and a leader there. We weren't getting like crazy involvement from the men in our church. And I remember that just kind of being like, man, what do we have to do so we started men's breakfast shortly thereafter, just to give kind of men an on-ramp and men started being a part of that. And so that was super exciting too. As far as hard, I don't know if anything was necessarily, again, it's tough for me because this is my first experience. Marshall was my first experience in it. So like, I don't have anything to compare it to,
Gotcha.
Like I can't say like, man, it was really easy when I did it at this church compared to this church, it was all just so new to me. I didn't know, is this hard or is this easy? Like this is just this,
So you start, let's say you start, you said some people came about. So if your total group of people was somewhere around 35 or 40, how long did it take you to get to 100? Like, was that within a year? Was that 2 years?
2 years, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, I remember it very specifically. We were probably 6 months in, and it was before we had kids. So Brie and I would ride to church together, and I remember church got done on a Sunday, and it was our 11 o'clock service. It gets done, and we're in the car, and we pull out of the parking lot of the church, and I'm driving, and I turn to her, and I go, wasn't church packed today? And she goes, yeah, church was super full today. There was 32 people in the service. So that was like 6 months in, So I bet it took well over a year to even hit 100 people. Honestly, we grew from 200 to 300 faster than we grew 0 to, like we hit the 300 faster than we hit 200. So like it seems like somewhere like around 2 years ago maybe is when we saw our fastest like growth, because young families started coming, and that's when we saw a faster spike. Whereas it was just kind of a slow build for the first like 3 or 4 years.
Were there any moments in that first year? Was your brain ever telling you, I don't know if this is going to work, or was it pretty much like, no, this is good. I'm good. I mean, did you wrestle with that at all? Or
Yeah,
I don't know if that's even part of your personality. You don't seem like a guy that doubts yourself very much.
Not very much. I mean, thank God for that. You know, not a ton. I mean, there's definitely times when I doubt myself on different things, but yeah, I always, everything was so encouraging along the way, man. Again, I will be out for anybody watching. I know that my experience is not the norm. Like, I know that. Like, I talk to other pastors that have done what I've done or are doing what I do. And I know that my experience in ministry has not been the norm, because my experience in ministry has been definitely not easy, but like, it's very hard for me to be like, that was a really tough season. Like, honestly, like I don't want to say everything we did worked, because that's not true.
Yeah.
But like, God just brought people into the Marshall campus that, it's just been such a blessing, man. It's so, you know, I think all along the way, I've never really questioned, is this gonna work? The one thing I questioned along the way is, am I built? If this thing continues to grow, will I be the guy then? Like, if this thing hits 500 people, am I the leader for 500 people? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Could
don't
do a
know.
whole podcast on that question.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. And as I sit here today, don't know. You know?
Every church planner in the history of the world has asked that question.
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly. Yeah.
Because there's a certain set of skills to grow something.
Yeah.
That shifts to then organizationally manage something.
Yeah. And I'm not a good manager. Like, that is not my skill set. Like, I am not your strong manager. Like, that is just not. And like, at first I was like, no, that's not true about myself. Now it's like, no, it's 100% true about myself. You know, something I want to grow in and get better in, of course. But like, so that's always loomed in the back of my mind, is not so much what if it didn't work, as so much as like, what if it does work and it outgrows me, you know? That's always been in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
You know, just because of my skill set and what I know I'm good at and what I know are my weaknesses, you know? So, yeah.
There's a great book called Predictable Success that talks about the way that organizations start a certain way and then have to manage adjusting to new realities.
Yeah.
And it's such a good book for church planters, because when you plant a church, when you start something new, the way that you grow, the way that you lead, and I say this in the best possible way, the dopamine rush that you get from certain things that are new fades.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
And you start to move in where everything is just fast, move, action, break stuff, go, try new things.
Yeah, yeah.
Over the course of time, it becomes, no, we're settled. We do this. This is our traditions.
Yeah.
And the development of red tape and bean counters and things.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you said that I related to what you said about feeling like you didn't necessarily know how to say, is this hard?
Yeah.
That was actually our experience as well. Like, we started this church with like 30 people and we hit 300 like halfway through year 2.
What?
Yeah. We were at 1,500 in 6 years. Then COVID just blew everything up.
Yeah.
Our hardest years were after the growth.
Yeah. See,
when we had to live, like, we don't want to be 3 services. We don't want, I don't want to deal with all this stuff. It was fun when we were a church plant. We were just going and doing things. The hardest years were actually now that we're in this settled place and we don't want to be here. But I guess if there's a question there, I do wonder though, and I have my own memories of this from church planting. I wonder for you though, were there moments during, let's call it like, I don't know if there's a good word for this. You do hit a point where growth starts to, what you might almost say, like there's almost a snowball effect to growth. You're pushing, and then it starts rolling. Mm-hmm. When it starts rolling, because eventually it did, like Marshall is really rolling.
Yeah.
Were you able to sort of sit back and be like, this is great? Or was it all just happening so fast that you're just stuck in the moment? Like, could you appreciate when the growth is really starting to happen?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I will say one of the things that was one of the greatest blessings along the way. I think I said it in the previous podcast, and it answers this question, is when Britt came, because and she took on groups in the spiritual formation of things.
You're able to let that go.
Dude, that took so much off of my plate that I kind of got to a point where, I was able to take a breath and enjoy things, because up until then, when you're, what it's like when you are the guy that's like, that's on your plate and that's on your plate and it's tough to take a breath and just enjoy what's happening, but yeah, I guess to answer that, I would say it was when she came and kind of started leading that portion of the Marshall campus. I was really able to be like, wow, I have some time to actually enjoy this, and actually reflect on this and watch the people joining groups and maybe go to a group and just attend it without having to lead it and worry about what are the other 12 leaders doing. I can just enjoy them, So yeah, probably. So really the past 2 years, I guess, since Britt joined I've had plenty of moments to just stop and enjoy. Yeah.
So I have a few, we'll call these quick hitters. That aren't related maybe to a specific moment in time, but just in general. For people that aren't familiar with Marshall as much, over the past 5 years, what are some, I guess I would use maybe like the word special things you guys did, like things outside the normal Sunday services that were sort of things that became Marshall? Like, have you developed traditions, things like, well, this is something that we do here that has formed an identity, whether it's in the community or what are some things that like make Marshall now over the past 5 years?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Okay. Well, our Wednesday night prayer, it would be my number one thing. That is, like 52 weeks out of the year for 5 years straight now has been our thing outside of a Sunday morning, which is, now like 25 to 30 people every Wednesday. So and that's really become a wonderful time for people to come and pray together and receive prayer and whatnot. So that's one thing. Another thing would be things like our anchored nights are a very Marshall, people love them, man.
Talk about what those are. For
anchored nights are two-part things. Number one, to celebrate our current volunteers. Number two, to give people that want to get involved that opportunity to meet the people that are involved and learn more about a ministry to be involved in. So it's a two-pronged thing. So those are once a quarter on a Friday night. Children's ministry, childcare is provided. So just come, drop your kids off and have some food. We play a game. I share like a 20-minute little devotional, kind of a vision casting, like, hey, let's focus on this for the next 3 months, type of this quarter. Let's just go after this, kind of things that I see that I discern we could be better in as a church body, So I share that. And then the last 15 minutes is literally just, hey, if you're here and you're not involved, but you came to learn some more, there's tables set up and they can go visit a table for children's ministry or for groups or production and worship or whatever, and meet the leaders of that, ask questions. So that's a very Marshall thing that we've just absolutely loved. We just did one 2 weeks ago, spontaneous breakfast on Sunday has been so fun for us.
Like just between services?
Legit, just between services, man. We'll start talking about it a month in advance, just unplanned, no structure to it. There's a sign up to bring a dish to pass. And, usually you've end up with a ton of egg casseroles and, biscuits and gravy and yada, yada. And it is just a random, hey, if you just want to stick around after the 9 o'clock or you want to come early, we're just going to have breakfast together.
It's a sense of community that sort of marks Marshall campus.
I'm not sharing a devotional. It is just a come and go, grab breakfast. And the Sunday before is when I tell the church of hey, just want to come hang out and just come hang out, and we're going to have breakfast. So, stuff like that. So men's breakfast, women's brunch, things we do. Again, just little touch points. Everything I'm explaining as food, man, I guess. If we do food, that's what we do really well.
You guys do something in the town at Christmas, right? You used to do a float. Now you're doing
Now we do the warming house, the Woodland warming house, which is a ton of fun. We did Fall Fest for a few years, which was a ton of fun. That was a thing we did in October, just, pumpkin decorating, hay rides, bounce houses. the whole 9 yards. Just a big free community event, family event for our community. And that was police and fire department cookout, just showing our appreciation to like those that serve our community. We'll just go pop up at the state police place there in Marshall and just cook hot dogs and sit and show our appreciation to them. Providing a Thanksgiving meal for Safe Place, which is actually here in Battle Creek. We have a list of people, 20 plus people that take food to the Safe Place for the women and children of Safe Place on Thanksgiving Day. So, yeah, I mean, those types of things are probably a lot of food. Yeah, park cleanup. We clean up our parks. It's Michigan, man. Eat. Yeah, park cleanup. Just every summer, just a random, get a team of volunteers together and go pick 3 or 4 parks in Marshall and just clean them.
That's cool.
Hang out. So, yeah.
You mentioned Britt coming on staff and how that helped. I wonder if just a few minutes, and I think it'd be fun to literally name names.
Yeah.
Who are some of the unsung heroes that helped make Marshall what it is, other than the staff members of you and Britt and Britt?
Yeah. Okay. Let's. So, Bob Sweet, Eva Sweet, Jerry Marshall, Carol Marshall, Jim Monowick, and Cindy Monowick, and Bobby Conley are the ones early on my Kingdom Builders team, the team, my core team that helped me build Marshall in the early days. So the first really 4 years, it was them. We'd meet every month, just like you meet with the board every month. We'd meet every month. We'd talk about what's happening in the church. What do you guys think needs improvement? What do I think? So very, very, very influential. People like Cameron Hiscock, who to this day, Sunday, he gets there at 6 a.m. every single Sunday, gets our signs out, gets our flags out, makes the coffee, makes sure every seat back has Connect cards and tithe envelopes, make sure the ACs are turned on or the heat's turned on, all the lights are turned on and all the doors are unlocked.
Every Sunday.
Every single Sunday. Make sure the water dispenser has water in it and there's water cups. Make sure the mints are filled every single Sunday. And he's done that for 3+ years.
That's
every
cool.
single Sunday. So like, things just don't happen on accident,
Your whole building gets cleaned by volunteers.
Yeah. Sharon Hills every single, usually Wednesday, sometimes Friday. She
That's
comes
amazing.
through, dedicates 4 to 5 hours every single week.
That's cool.
Just walking through every inch of the church, cleaning. David Shoemaker mows every single week. Don't do it. My dad does all of the landscaping every single week. So yeah, man, and then not to mention the Sandy Williams and the Jennifer Lovelaces, all of these people that you wouldn't even know are putting together care packages and going to the hospital for people, going to people's homes. People you would never know, man, that are doing it.
That's cool. This is what church is supposed to be, right?
This is the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. And we could be here all day just talking about the multitudes that do that people have absolutely no idea. I can't remember the last time I turned on a light in a church, or an AC, or any of these things. Like, it's all volunteers, man. I mean, I could I'm to the point where Britt or me could show up at 8:15 and just have a Sunday work. It's all people, non-paid. Yeah.
So year 5, heading into year 6, how is what currently exists similar, but also possibly different from what was in your head on day 1? Like, does it look like you thought it would look? In what ways is it not? What way does it?
Oh, geez. Good question.
Did you have a picture in your head of what it would be?
No, that's my easy thing. Dude, I don't know. I
surviving tomorrow.
Who was I? I was just talking to somebody about that, man. I kind of always thought, like, man, what's a church I would like to be a part of? Like, what are some things that I would like to be a part of? Like, if I had to bring my family to a church, what are some things that I would like to see?
The best advice we were given: plant the church you want to go to.
Yeah, see, there you go. So true. Yeah. And so I don't know if I had like, here's what I want it to look like in 5 years, but I had like, man, if I were a volunteer, I'd always want opportunities to like celebrate together. So anchor nights came together, it's just like little things. If I were a part of a church, I'd like little just opportunities to hang out and meet people in the church, unplanned, unstructured. Let's just throw a little spontaneous breakfast or a summer kickoff event, or So I can definitely say I never would have imagined it would look this way. That's for sure. It growing and the amount of people that are involved and the amount of people that we've reached. I could have never imagined
So if I had said
that.
to you 5 years ago, hey, 5 years from now, this church is going to have over 300 people, that would have surprised you. You weren't expecting that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but again, my first Sunday, I was like, man, let's just make it. Let's just last an hour, let's just make it an hour and we'll be good, So no, I definitely didn't know, again, cause I come from street ministry. Like church wasn't even a formal Sunday morning really wasn't a thing.
Right.
It was, we came to you and quote unquote did church in your neighborhood, So, I don't even know really what will this thing look like? What do I want it to look like? I kind of just, went week by week thinking, man, what kind of church would I like to be a part of? And
how have the last 5 years shaped you personally? How are you different as a person because of what you've done in the last 5 years? Are there parts of your personality, your approach, your mindset, the way you look at life? Well, what's this done to you? Hopefully in positive ways.
Yeah. There are definitely some negative too. I would definitely say I'm maybe a little bit more of an anxious person than I was.
Carrying the weight of it every day.
Yeah, definitely. But so I'd say positive. One of the biggest ways is like point one in my sermon, today isn't forever. I just learned, man, to, and that can go both ways. And I'm going to change it a little bit for my sermon in Marshall, because I kind of hit on the bad. Like if you're in a bad situation or things don't look good, still hope and still pray. Today isn't forever. Well, your kids are only young ones too.
Yeah.
And they're only in your home for so long. So it's like the things you're enjoying.
Your car, you're like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like the things you're enjoying aren't forever either. And so the last 5 years have taught me to just enjoy like what I've experienced over the last 5 years, man. I don't know if I'll ever experience again. Like the community and the amount of people and just the wonderful culture. And, I pray I will. But it's taught me, number one, don't take things for granted. It's taught me to move slower too. Life isn't, I always looked at life as a sprint, I'm naturally a little bit more of a go-getter, like to be productive. And I learned to just be a little bit more patient with things, especially decisions. It's definitely taught me to seek to understand more. Like in the ministry world, man, you can be, people can misinterpret you. You know what it's like,
Yes, they can.
People, you can communicate one thing and somebody hears a totally different thing and now they're upset or confused. And the natural thing for a leader is like, well, why would you be upset at that? But I've just kind of learned to, hey, let's just sit down and talk. Like, tell me a little bit about why that bothers you or why, some of you I've become a little bit more of an understanding person. I've also learned, my wife and I talk about this pretty consistently, to never compare your life to other people. Like in the ministry world, one of the greatest blessings is you get to be a part of people's lives. For me, like I love that. Like I love sitting with a marriage or an individual and just talking about the things in their life. And man, like I have learned, like you see a person, they drive in this nice car, they're smiley as they walk into church or whatever. Yeah, they're holding hands, or it's an individual who just seems like they're on cloud nine. But then when you sit with them in your office and, everybody has stuff going on, and you can just so easily compare your life and to the highlights of other people's lives, and ministry has just taught me, man, everybody's struggling. Everybody's got something going on.
Yeah.
And don't ever think that you're the only one battling something, or you're the only one where things don't look good, because everybody has something, So it's really taught me just to kind of be a little bit more patient with people, ask more questions about people's lives. Don't judge so quickly. Try to understand people, ask questions about people's lives, love them no matter what. Be hopeful for them no matter what. But Yeah, so I'd say those things. Of course, there are many things that I've learned about myself. I've learned, like, if you were to ask me 6 years ago before I did this, Devin, what are you good at? I'd have been like, I have absolutely no idea. Like, I have no clue, don't know, I've learned a lot about myself. Like, what am I good at? What do I like to do? What don't I like to do? What are my weaknesses? So I've learned a lot of that about myself.
What's so interesting about that, I mean, interrupt you, is for a vast majority of people in their 20s, early 30s, they learn those things by being like interns or support staff, not running a church. Like exactly. You were like baptized in fire.
In fire, exactly. Yeah.
Two things. One, you said something. I just want to come back to it just briefly. This isn't about me or my story. I just remember, though, when I've shared this before. So my brother-in-law and I moved to California and planted a church together. He was lead pastor. I was executive pastor. When he first felt the call to leave before I did, I remember a moment we were talking. I think our whole families were together. And I'm not quoting him verbatim, but it rang a bell. I remember San Diego, I don't know if you've heard this, is kind of a nice place to live.
Yeah.
But we were in a beautiful place with a church that we had given our lives to. At that point we were going on 11 years with all of our friends and all of our family were just there, and that was it. And I remember Brandon, we were talking, and I don't remember how it came up. I think I asked him, how are you doing, whatever. And I remember him saying, he said, I'm scared that this is the happiest I'm ever going to be. And it's all downhill from here. Like, this is as good as it's ever going to be, and now I've got I'm 43, 44 years old, and the next 25 years are going to be not as good as this. Yeah. And I remember when he said that, I didn't know how to respond, because I was like, could be true. I don't know. No, that's not true, but I don't know. Maybe it is.
I don't know.
But I know, like, for myself, when they ended up moving away, and then almost not quite a year later, I ended up moving here. I remember asking myself that same question. Okay, so I'm moving to Battle Creek, Michigan, and am I leaving the best it was ever going to be? And I just, I was listening to some music, I was praying, and this song came on. It's about him being like the good shepherd. You have good plans.
Oh, okay.
Good plans. Yeah. And I just remember the Lord saying, like, if I call you to something, the next thing I call you to can always be better. And I think that stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And I think what you were saying about even like comparison and things like that, the next season of your life is going to have great things. Mm. It's always probably the challenge will be comparing rather than looking at the beauty. And God even spoke to my wife about something. I remember she told me that he said, Michigan is going to be a different kind of beautiful.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
The next season, the next thing he calls us to has beauty and goodness in it.
Yeah, sure.
It's more about like appreciating the past, being grateful for it, but looking for the beauty in where you're now at. And
sure.
I think for us, even just in 4 months here, choosing to do that has already helped us find so many things we love already just being here.
Yeah.
And I still love that 12 years of my life and look back on it. But I sit here and I'm like, no, there's just as much goodness here that God is going to give our family.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Last question, we'll wrap this up. I was trying to figure out how to word this. So right now, our plan moving forward, as you talked about Britt in this podcast, she's been on this podcast. Britt's stepping into an interim campus pastor role, and we don't know what, as a team collectively, we're not sure what the long-term future of the campus is yet in terms of how it will be led. As a team, we're praying, we're thinking about it, we're talking. So right now we're just sort of in this wait and see, but in the meantime, Britt's stepping in. How long is Britt? What's that future? We're not sure. I say all that because just putting that aside, let's say whoever it is, whoever's going to be absolutely running this place 3 years from now, they're sitting right here in front of you right now.
Oh.
What would you just want to tell them? Taking on your role and moving it forward.
Oh, jeez.
For clarity, I offered to let you look at these questions before.
No, he did ask. Do you want to see him? I was like, nah, just on the spot, fire him. Gosh, dude, that's such a good question.
I'd say we can come back to it, but it was my last question.
It's good. This is a good one. I'm gonna. This is unpolished.
Sure.
But it's just what I feel. I want to say something along the lines of let the church be the church. Is what I don't, man, my experience. Why do I say that? I often battle the people in Marshall do more good for the church than I do.
But you still feel like you have to do it all.
Yeah. Like there are people in our church that make more house visits than I make. Like I personally have never put together a care package. We send out a lot. I've never done it. And what's in Marshall is just a group of people that just want to be a part. Like they want to be a part. And I think that's unique, at least from the people that I talk to. Like that's a unique thing. Like people that want to be a part and take ownership and say, hey, I got this, hand this off to me. I can do this, So that's why I'd say, don't. You would ask the emotional question right at the end, man. Don't feel like you have to be it all and do it all. And just know that there are absolutely incredible people that want to help if you'll let them and ask them to. And I don't know, man. Because that's what I've done the past, especially 2 years since it's grown the most, is like, just sit back and watch, man. I don't know. Somebody will come to me and be like, man, hey, thanks so much for, sending that thing, that card or that care package my way. And I'm like, did I send you something? Yeah, I didn't, I didn't do anything, I didn't ask that person to do that. But it happened, and I would just say to that person, you are not alone in this type of thing. Like, just let the church be the church, and don't feel like you have to be it all and do it all. And, I don't know.
Good.
I don't know whether that would help them or not. I have absolutely no idea, but
I think it helps me.
Yeah.
I wrestle with that every day.
Yeah. It's
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's a real thing I battle, especially the last couple of years. So yeah, that's probably what I'd say.
Cool.
All right. Crying's over.
Showing emotion.
Yeah, no, I'm not crying.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
I feel like we're on the thank you tour where
Sure, yeah.
I got more thank yous. But I don't know. This is just important.
Yeah.
I'm sure that every person who attends Marshall and is listening to this podcast would love to reach through the computer and say thank you themselves.
Yeah.
Both you and Brett and Bree.
Cut
that one out. No, but Brett too. That wasn't wrong. All three of you.
Yeah, all three.
But dude, seriously, great work. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
appreciate you, man. Absolutely.
we'll one more big Sunday this weekend.
Yeah.
So if you attend Battle Creek, but you want to come and celebrate, you're welcome. There might be limited seating this weekend, but hey,
we'll
whatever.
See. Yeah, whatever. We got folding chairs. We'll lay them out.
There's going to be a party after the second service, and it'll be a good fun weekend. So,
Yeah.
And then on our podcast next week, we're actually going to kind of finish up so Pastor Ken is speaking at Battle Creek while we're at Marshall this weekend, finishing up the series on Same Old Tricks, and he'll actually be on the podcast. So those that he hasn't been a chance on yet, that'll be fun. And then we're going to be, looking to launch in a new series in October, looking at the 7 churches in Revelation, but a lot come up, but I'm glad we were able to spend some time talking through this.
And me too. Thanks.
Hearing the stories, and it's just cool what God has done. And I guess that's it. So appreciate you.
Yeah.
And everyone, we'll see you next time on the In the Woods podcast.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.